What if everything you think you know about cause and effect is completely wrong? What if the future doesn't just influence the past, but actually, literally creates it? Well, that's the core idea behind a pretty mind-bending model of the universe called vector cosmology. And believe me, it's going to challenge just about everything you think you know about reality itself.
So let's just start with a question that feels, well, almost impossible to answer. Is the past really fixed? I mean, we're all taught that time is a one-way street, right? The past is done. It's sealed. You can't change it. But what if that whole idea is just a grand illusion? What if the future isn't some destination we're all headed for, but a force that's actively reaching back and shaping the very beginning of the journey?
This one sentence right here just flips our whole concept of cause and effect on its head. We always assume the first domino falling is the cause, and the last one is just the effect. But what if, in the incredibly strange world of physics, that's not the whole story? I want you to hold on to this idea because it's the key to everything we're about to talk about. The end of the story might just be writing the beginning.
Okay, so first things first. Let's start by dismantling the biggest idea of them all, the straight line of time.
So, on the one hand, you've got the way we normally think of time, like an arrow. The past causes the present. Simple. In a way, it means we're all prisoners of a history we can't change. But then, there's this other, much more radical idea, the circle. In this view, time isn't a flowing river. It's more like a single complete object, a geometric shape where the past and the future define each other at the exact same time. Now, the shift in thinking here is just profound. It means we might not be prisoners of history. We might actually be its authors. I know. This sounds like pure science fiction. But it's not just some philosophical thought experiment. There are real whispers of this circular logic coming from some of the most rigorous, baffling experiments in all of physics. Let's look at one of the most famous examples. This is the famous delayed choice experiment. And honestly, I had to read this a few times to really get it. So, in simple terms, you send a single particle of light, a photon, on a journey. Along the way, it has to choose whether to act like a particle and take one path, or act like a wave and take both paths at once. But here's where it gets totally weird. The experiment lets the observer decide how to measure the photon after it should have already finished its trip. And every single time, the photon's past behavior changes to match the future measurement. It's as if your decision today reached back in time and told the photon what to do yesterday.
The physicist John Wheeler came up with this incredible way to picture this. He said the past isn't some fixed, concrete thing. It's more like a smoky dragon, just a cloud of undefined possibilities. It's only when we observe it in the present, when the dragon's mouth bites our detector, that its body, its entire history, finally snaps into a single definite shape. You know, this baffling phenomenon actually has a name. It's called retrocausality. It's the wild idea that an effect can happen before its cause. So your choice, your observation right now, isn't just you passively looking at the past. It's you actively reaching back and helping to create it.
Okay, so if a single photon's past can be defined by the present, what happens if we apply that same logic to everything? To the entire universe? This leads us to something called the bootstrap paradox. So imagine this. A scientist is struggling with a groundbreaking formula. Suddenly, a future version of herself appears and just hands her the completed equation. She uses it, becomes famous. So years later, when she's an old woman, where does she get the formula to give to her younger self? You see the problem? The formula has no origin. It just is. It exists in a self-contained loop. Now, what if the fundamental laws of our universe are just like that formula? You know, the ancient symbol of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, is the perfect image for this. It represents a universe that isn't a straight line from a beginning to an end. No, it's a self-creating, self-causing loop, where the finish line is also the starting block. The end, quite literally, creates the beginning.
And this leads to what might be the most staggering idea of all. I mean, this is one of those concepts you just have to sit with for a moment. The great cosmic question has always been, why were the conditions of the Big Bang so perfectly, so impossibly fine-tuned for life to exist? Well, the answer in this model isn't chance, it's us. Our existence, right here and now, acts as a filter. Our consciousness is the future event that reached back 13.8 billion years and in a very real way selected the version of the Big Bang that had the exact properties necessary to eventually create us.
Okay, let's bring this down from the cosmic scale for a minute. What does any of this mean for you? for your life, for your own personal history. If the future can define the past, can you?
So let's explore a really powerful way to apply this cosmic principle to our own lives. We can call it narrative engineering. Now let's be super clear here. You can't go back and change the raw data of your life. What happened, happened. But if the past is that smoky dragon, maybe you can change its meaning. You can rewire how those past events connect to your present and your future. Think of it as a philosophical tool inspired by physics for reframing your own story.
Just look at this comparison. The event itself, let's just call it X, is the same for both. The raw data hasn't changed one bit, but the narrative, the story we tell ourselves about it, creates two completely different realities. On the one side, the past defines the present. Because this happened, I am broken. But on the other, the present redefines the past. Because this happened, I am stronger. And the incredible part is, you get to choose. You get to decide which story you tell and which column you live in.
So how do we actually practice this? Well, you can take a past disaster and actively redefine it as the exact lesson you needed for your future success. You can literally change the weight of certain memories, consciously focusing on the ones that serve you and letting the others fade into the background. You can even reframe traumas, not as the events that broke you, but as the intense training that forged the strength you have right now.
All right, let's zoom back out one last time. Because if this model of the universe is even partially true, our place in it is so much more important than we've ever been led to believe.
We are not just some random accident on a lonely little planet. In this model, we are absolutely essential. Our consciousness is the very mechanism through which the universe becomes real. In a way, we are the midwives, helping to deliver reality from a fog of potential into concrete, solid existence.
John Wheeler visualized this so beautifully with his idea of a U-shaped universe. It starts with the Big Bang on one side, it evolves for billions and billions of years, and then it culminates in an observer, an I, on the other side. And it is that final act, that act of looking back, that completes the circuit and makes the entire history of the universe real.
And so we end right back where we began, with a question. If the universe requires an observer to become real, and you are that observer, well, it means the cosmos isn't just something you live in. It's something you are participating in creating, every single moment. The future isn't just waiting for you. It's waiting on your instructions. So, what will you choose to create?